Good morning. My name is Lynn Kaywood. I'm the director of Childline Gauteng, and my colleague is Jo Bielefeld, and she is our social media expert.
Lovely to have you today, Lynn. How are you doing?
All very well. Lovely to have rain in Gauteng, and yeah, so it's all good.
Hi, Jolene.
Morning, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you.
So not to take too much of your time, Lynn, as the founder of Childline Gauteng, can you tell us a bit more about the organization?
So Nokuthula, Childline Gauteng was founded in 1987 by a group of volunteers who were concerned about the high levels of gender-based violence and sexual violence against children. And I came in the late 1990s to professionalize the organization. But we've got really 5 key services. The first one that we're best known for is our 24/7 toll-free helpline. And we take about 300,000 calls on that helpline annually. Predominantly from children, but also there's 40% from parents, community members that are concerned about children. And our big focus on the helpline is to build resilience in young people, as well as their families and communities. And we facilitate child protection services for children that are in very difficult, life-threatening circumstances by, calling the Department of Social Development statutory services and sometimes the police. In conjunction with our 24/7 toll-free helpline, we have our Sunlight Safe House project, where if there is a child in life-threatening circumstances, we are able to request that the police bring that child into care after hours so that, they can be safe, and then they enter the child protection system, which is a complicated process through the statutory partners. Then we've got our awareness and prevention campaigns, where we have 7 community-based, 8 actually, sites throughout Gauteng, in Soweto, Sebokeng, Orange Farm, etc. And our teams go out predominantly to schools to teach young people, that they have rights and responsibilities, and that they have a right not to be hurt in any way. And if they are being hurt, we ask them, to please keep on telling somebody until somebody hears. And if nobody is able to help them, to phone our toll-free number, which is 116. It's a short code. And then in those 8 community sites, we also have face-to-face professional counseling for children and families who have serious, kind of difficulties, and we assist to help them through that. And then we have a training department where we upskill lay and professional people in terms of dealing with various issues such as child abuse. So we reach about 450,000 people a year in Childline Gauteng, and we have an enormous amount of information in terms of the difficulties that our people and our communities are going through. And that was where the concept of the peace campaign came from.
Yeah. That's quite exceptional. I do want to talk about the peace campaign, and statistics recently revealed that from April to June, about 247 children were killed. Can you tell us about the peace campaign and what is the objective behind it?
So that's exactly right, Nokuthula, and I understand that your name means peace.
Absolutely.
Is that right? So it's so wonderful to speak to a peaceful you about the concept behind the peace campaign. So we were very, we're very concerned about the high levels of violence in our country. As you said, the murder rate of children has gone up. The gender-based violence numbers or statistics are sky high.
Yeah.
Just normal criminal violence is a huge impact a negative impact on our children and our communities, where children are living in fear. And we know that children that are themselves traumatized may very well grow up either to see themselves as potential victims of crime, whether it be gender-based or otherwise feel as though they need to learn how to be aggressive and angry in order to be able to deal with the the environment that they live in. So our call is a very, very sincere one to say to the adult generation, please be mindful of, the fact that your actions will impact on the next generation and has impacted on the next generation very, very negatively already. And that as Childline, we invite you to phone our 24/7 toll-free number, which is 116, and speak to our counsellors who are all very well trained in terms of dealing with trauma. And let's together find peaceful ways of dealing with our personal or political problems.
Yeah. What is the social media component of the campaign?
So I will leave that to Joe to outline, but what we've done is we have put out 14,000 posters in the communities where we have a presence with a call to peace. And one of the posters is a blank poster where children can draw what they dream of in terms of what peace would look like for them. So it's it really is a very, very urgent call to all people in South Africa to consider the needs of children and to call us before they make the choice to engage in violent behavior, whether it's criminal, domestic, or any other way. So I'll hand over to Joe to speak about the social media campaign that we've embarked on with the help of Network BBDO.
Thanks, Lynn. Thanks, Maktula. So Childline Gauteng's on various social media platforms. It's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We've just recently started TikTok because of the peace campaign. So we're posting, and LinkedIn, sorry. And then with our partners in our different areas, we're posting on their pages. So with Nkosa's Kopania's Tswane page, which focuses on people living in Tswane, we're posting there as well. So the campaign involves posts, generic little narrative posts with pictures, and then there's a whistle tutorial where it teaches people how to do the whistle. And that was posted a few times to try and get it going. And then going into the communities, these videos, and asking people what peace means to them. So we have children speaking about what peace means to them, adults, and we're just sharing that on social media. And this is something that we feel needs to go viral. We need peace. So if, especially the whistle, it's quite easy to learn. I haven't mastered it yet, but it is, people can do it. So the idea is that when people hear that whistle, they know immediately peace. You must calm down. Peace is calling.
That's really smart. I love that. And why are you specifically targeting the communities of Soweto, for example, Sebokeng? Why is the focus on those communities?
So I can come in here, Noktula. We have community offices in Soweto, Sebokeng, Orange Farm, Katlehong, Tembisa, Diepsloot, Inner City, Joburg, and in Tshwane, Winterveld, Mabopane, Shoshanguve. And so we believe that, that children need a basket of services. It's no point in us going out talking to people about peace and then they were like, yeah, well, what now? What do I do with my trauma and my anger and my hurt and my frustration? So it's a comprehensive program that people in the communities that Childline Gauteng serves are able to phone our number. I mean, that's open to everybody, of course.
Yeah.
But if there are major issues that where they require face-to-face counselling, then Childline Gauteng has the services that will allow them to come to our offices for free and to receive face-to-face counselling to deal with those deeper issues that perhaps go back to childhood or, impact on their families currently, and help them to resolve conflict in a more amicable and peaceful manner.
That's quite amazing. And what's the vision that you foresee for the campaign, or what do you intend to achieve?
So our grand vision is, that we're working towards peace in South Africa. We have extremely difficult circumstances that we are living in at the moment.
Yeah.
Political, economic, on a macro level, our history of the past has left a residue that we're all battling to deal with and need to come to terms with. And then on the, kind of more personal level, people who have grown up in traumatic circumstances or had traumatic experiences and are still having, traumatic experiences in the home in terms of gender-based violence, exposure to crime in communities. The whole campaign came about as a result of the July 2021 violence that was predominant in KZN and Gauteng. And so we were very fortunate to be selected by the Solidarity Fund to try and address the underlying causes of that violence, and to look at how we can develop a social compact amongst all the players in our society to really all work towards peaceful resolutions of whatever the conflict is, and to come up with a positive way forward that to protect our children from this exposure to excessive violence. There are people who say that living in South Africa is living in a war zone. When you look at the number of killings, I think it's about 54 a day, if I'm not mistaken. In 2019, there were 2 million reported crimes generally across the board. Car accidents, road rage, all of these things contribute to the creation of a very traumatized society. And, a traumatized society is not able to manage positively and creatively and to take the country forward and to develop strong families and strong communities where people feel that spirit of African humanity and Ubuntu and feel a sense of safety in their homes, in their communities, and in their countries. So, that is the aim of the campaign, to appeal to everybody to urgently self-reflect and understand what it is that makes you angry and what would potentially resort to violence, whether it be verbal or physical and sexual, and to reach out and to get support and healing for your trauma, and to be able to go forward in your life in a more positive and peaceful manner. We understand, the politics behind the July 2021 violence. And it would seem to me that the narrative out there that this was generated or encouraged by a kind of an attack on our constitutional democracy. And, for people of my generation that lived through the violence of the 70s and the 80s, it was a terrible, terrible time in the country that left an enormous amount of trauma on the people that, were exposed, which was basically everybody.
Yeah.
And there was many people who fought for that constitutional democracy and freedom. And we owe it to them to you know, engage in the next step to make sure that that constitutional democracy and a human rights culture where people know what their human rights are, but also know what their responsibilities are to that human rights culture in terms of promoting that in a manner that we can popularize that and, you know, ensure that this is something that is close to everybody's heart, because we don't have another political alternative. The alternative to a constitutional human rights-based democracy is anarchy and war, and that is not something we can afford to go through again.
I think it's very achievable. And my last question, for the sake of time, how do people make a contribution?
So we have, as Joe said, all the social media platforms. We have the 24/7 toll-free line. If you want to phone 116, they will put you through to me. And Joe, any answer on that? We can put all our social media platforms, we can send them to you, and you will find our bank details on those platforms, and our website, of course, which has a lot of very helpful information for parents and young people who are struggling to get through the difficulties of the day.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you so much, ladies. We appreciate your time. Keep up the great work.